Welcome to Beyond Unmanned, Day 5 of the National Drone Safety Awareness Week. I'm your host, Harry Seto, and I'm excited to introduce you to Riley Beeman, who is going to talk to you about how to use drones in STEM education.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Riley Beeman, and I'm the Vice President of AUVSI North Carolina, as well as the Director and Founder of the North Carolina Public Safety Drone Academy. This week, as you know, is National Drone Safety Awareness Week, and our team is coming to you throughout the week, just bringing some short clips on things, bringing awareness to drones, the safety and education portion of it. Today, my aspect is STEM education. There's a lot of people that don't know exactly what STEM is, or if you've heard of STEM, you may not fully understand what STEM is all about. STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. The need for STEM programming and education developed out of the concern that our future generations may not be fully capable of tomorrow, the issues of tomorrow, the issues of economics in our industry. So STEM programming teaches innovation, creativity, critical thinking, problem solving, and collaboration among many other skills proven to lead success. Rather than teach the four disciplines as separate and discrete subjects, STEM integrates them into cohesive learning paradigms based on real-world scenarios and events. So why is STEM important and STEM education? Why is it important to our world and our society? And STEM education is integrated into our daily lives. We see it every day. It's important because it allows students to be exposed to various genres in science. It promotes technology, innovation, and creativity within a world that is constantly changing around us. Students are able to make connections between their school, home, their local communities, different states, different cities, globally. They're able to make connections between environment, wildlife, business, industry. They're able to put all this together. And they're also able and given the possibilities of looking at and solving worldwide issues, all the way from their community to globally. They're able to look at these issues. They're able to come up together with scenarios and possibilities to try to change these or address them at least. So they do all this through the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, which is, as we know, is STEM. So why are drones the perfect idea for STEM education? And when we talk about drones, we talk about STEM drones, STEM education drones, things that that are different, they're new, they're cutting edge, and drones are the perfect tool. In the world of STEM education, drones are an excellent and inexpensive tool to introduce students to building and maintaining new technology. The potential applications for drones in education are endless, making them the popular choice among classrooms around the world. You can take a drone and put them into numerous different kinds of scenarios. And even in those scenarios, you can combine and overlap into several different aspects. So there's endless possibilities for drone education in the classroom and through STEM, making it a perfect tool. Why drones and why now? Why do we need drones in STEM? Why should that be a program that we're focusing on, or a tool that we're focusing on in an educational platform globally or in your state, your local high school, your local middle school? And it's very simple. Here in North Carolina and globally, we continue to push the envelope in unmanned aviation through disaster response, medical package delivery, food delivery, the new ideas of transportation by drones, state infrastructure, soil and water conservation, not to mention the numerous aspects and outlets of public safety and emergency services. So now is the time to capitalize on drones and STEM education to prepare our youth for tomorrow and all the possibilities of unmanned aviation. So again, bringing that what we've been talking about so far, drones are going to be an unbelievable tool for this education. What can drones teach our students? Tons of different things. And I say that so broadly because there's so many different aspects that we could focus on that drones could bring into the classroom for our students, K through 12, university, community college settings. There's so many ideas. So we're just going to touch on just a handful. On the idea of STEM, you have the do-it-yourself drone building. and that provides analytical skill thinking. Through robotics, it brings apart the math aspect of the building process, the electronics component of it, of putting it together, chemistry, programming, along with flight training, and all the skills associated with flight training and hands-on flight capabilities. So that's just under do-it-yourself drone building. Land surveying and mapping is another industry, which teaches mathematical skills, mapping, topography, and the observation of environmental changes in wildlife, giving the student the hands-on capability to view real-world scenarios and factors through mapping, through nature, environmental changes, from monitoring wildlife. That's just another aspect of drones in STEM education. The big one, weather and disaster response. Right now, we're in the middle of hurricane season. There's been several different things that have come about this season already. Students can learn about weather while participating in preparedness exercises for disasters. They can determine evacuation routes, utilities that will be affected after storms or during storms, pre-planning efforts, and all the responses that will be needed for emergency services, state workers, their local communities. So all that is under weather and disaster response. Aviation and aeronautics. Students can learn the history of aviation, the theory of flight, and explore hands-on experimentation with the principles of vertical takeoff and landing. During this, again, they fall back under the sense of learning all about flight, what it takes to operate unmanned aerial vehicles, and all the things that we have started with manned aviation and how that has really, really brought us into the unmanned world and what we're doing as far as their local communities, our states, and globally. So under aviation and aeronautics, again, so many different aspects that you could focus on for STEM education. Environmental education. Students can use drones to learn about atmospheric science, learn about coastal erosion, climate change. Educators can also brainstorm and discuss ways drones can help environmental causes in the future. So again, putting the student in real world scenarios to where they can take environmental issues or issues that they are seeing in their areas or globally and try to come up with solutions or scenarios to solve those problems. The big one, laws, rules, and ethical debating. Now with drones, we know that there brings controversy. Students can learn those controversies surrounding drone use, explore all the pros and cons of drone use in the many different situations that they're utilized, and present positions on how they should be used and the laws that will govern them in the future. As we all know, we're tasked to learn our 107 and become efficient pilots. But that 107, again, is a license to learn. We take it and we learn the ethical ins and outs, the pros and cons, as we were saying, and we learn about all those laws and regulations that are going to be adopted and or changed and revised as we go throughout history. Right now, a prime example is beyond line of sight. That is something that was put in place in the beginning of drone use. And now as we explore the different capabilities of these drones, we see that now maybe we're okay to go beyond line of sight with certain measures. So now you're seeing a lot of industries, a lot of states that are getting waivers, and just one law, that is just one law that's being changed. So again, that STEM education, that tool being the drone, brings all this full circle, and where the students are able to experience so many different aspects of the world that they live in through drones. And again, these are just a handful of items and focus points that STEM education would bring with drone as the tool in the classroom. So with STEM education, who can help you? If you're an educator and you're watching this today, or you're a pilot, or you're a student, and you're interested in STEM education for unmanned, who is there to help? And to begin a STEM program or to adopt a drone curriculum into your existing STEM education, we encourage you to visit successful schools or institutions who are already utilizing these amazing tools in STEM education or in some form of educational programming. It doesn't necessarily have to be STEM programming. If you can find somebody that has an unbelievable drone program, talk to them. Find out how they started that program. I know later in the week you're going to hear about drone programs and how to get those started. But visit those schools. Talk to your educators. The other thing is here in North Carolina, and I know that other states and globally that they see the same thing, but here in North Carolina, we have an amazing amount of STEM support through our K-12 system, but the community college system and university system are also providing robust STEM programming and have unbelievable programs in place and are willing to point you in the right direction. Partner with your school, your community college, maybe your university is interested in getting into STEM. But these partners are able to do a lot of amazing things, and all you have to do is ask. They are very eager to share. They are very eager to spend time with you. So again, STEM education and drones in STEM education are going to be the world of tomorrow. We're going to take this tool, where we have the capabilities of taking this tool, and teaching our youth, our K-12, our community college students, our university students, and taking them by teaching with drones and putting them in new world, real world scenarios. So anything that you can think of, from the Jetsons flying around to how that'll look with drone taxis, how that'll look with climate control and weather. So again, the drone is an unbelievable tool for STEM education. We encourage you to reach out to your local chapters. We encourage you to reach out to your states and educators to talk about STEM programming. Talk to your local high schools and middle schools about the options of bringing in a drone curriculum as part of your STEM education, or beginning STEM in general, or overall, a STEM program. For more information, please feel free to reach out to us, reach out to myself. Our contact information is provided. And, just remember that, to use drones to introduce students to the world around them. We have all kinds of possibilities. They're endless. Tomorrow is the big unknown, but how amazing is it with the new technology that we have? Drones, again, are just one tool leading us into tomorrow. Thank you for your time. We hope you enjoy all the different events and different things that we're going to have for our National Drone Safety Awareness Week. And again, thank you for tuning in, and we hope you have a great week.
I hope you found this informative. Don't forget to join me tomorrow at the same time. So until then, like, subscribe, and share, and also follow us on Facebook. Remember, the future is within line of sight.
All right, guys, I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in today, especially spending your Friday with us. I know that we have started having quite a following with this for our drone. Let's Talk Drones. And again, we want to thank you guys for putting up with that video. I begged Darshan not to show my video as the kickoff for today, but he loves to poke fun at me, and so that's what we went with. There were several other great guys that we could have chose, but he wanted to choose that one, so that's how it works. But anyway, we are thankful that you guys joined us today. As our following grows, our experience and our knowledge grows. As you guys watch, you bring a wealth of knowledge to this program, and we encourage you to follow along and interject or input in wherever you see fit, and ask questions. That's what it's all about. It's very laid back, very casual. But we'll go ahead and get started without further ado, and I will turn it over to our AUVSI president. Oh, before I do, I would like to take a quick minute to thank two of our officers, Bill Lewis and Nicole Ramsey. They are behind the scenes. They make all this possible. They are our IT gurus. Without them, we would just be up here talking, and you guys would be bored out of your mind. So we really, really want to thank both of those guys for everything that they do. So without further ado, I will turn it over to our chapter president, Mr. Darshan Dabakar.
Thank you, Riley. So the video was supposed to be Riley's face and my voice, but didn't work out that way. But unfortunately, you had to hear Riley's voice. But first of all, I would like to thank everyone to be here. This week is the Drone Safety Awareness Week. And, we have been in this industry for quite some time. And many of us, especially myself, Riley, and many of you, we have seen each other grow in this industry. Many of you may be new into the industry, but let me tell you one thing that is very important for this industry to move forward, and that is safety. And if we cannot value that, if we cannot, be proud about how safe our operations are, then this industry is going to be pretty much lonely for us, because we need to share our information. We need to make people aware about how we are doing safe operations. And you throughout the week, through the Beyond Unmanned initiative, which is basically bringing in experts, educators to share the news to the world. And that's what it is. And if you have missed any of the other sessions, just find us on YouTube and you will see a lot of videos that we are posting along the next few months to years. We are going to be bringing in more and more experts. We want to make you tell us what you want, and those videos will be online and available for free. That's the main thing. We want to get you education, get you the right education, standardize the education, and bring in the experts to bring that information to you. So with that, the Drone Safety Awareness Week, if you look at it, the industry has grown in the last 5 to 6 years. And that is where the industry is. And now from 2020 to 2025, there's going to be a major change. If COVID has taught you something, is that technology can boom in such during these type of environment. So we have learned a lot in this coming year about drones and how drones can be used for contactless delivery and everything. But end of the day, everything comes to safety. So we are celebrating this week, and throughout the nation, there are organizations celebrating this week. Today, we have an amazing panel. We would call this a webinar or workshop, but I want to call this an informal chat room where we want to talk about safety and everything. And the individuals who I'll be introducing are safety leaders, and they have done amazing stuff. Let me just introduce today's panel. So we have, today being STEM education and everything about education, we have David Barber, Dr. David Barber, who is from the NC Department of Public Instruction. We have Miriam McNabb. Everyone knows her, Drone Life. It's like a slang now. If you're part of the drone industry, you're part of Drone Life. So we have also Vern Sally from Axon Air. Prior to this, if you know Chula Vista, if you heard Chula Vista, then you know Vern. And we have Ben Spain, who has taken up a big role now for the state of North Carolina, being the US program manager. And he's filling in a big shoes for the state, and he's doing some great stuff. So we have Ben Spain. And last but not least, we have Wes Shower. He is going to be on audio. Because currently he's doing operations, drone delivery operations with FAA, and you can see his commitment towards his work, but also towards safety. So he'll be in and out, but we have Wes Shower from Flightrex, drone delivery, and it's food drone delivery. That's the best thing about everything, and their most recent partnership with Walmart. So we'll be hearing more about all that. And rest of y'all who are here, we would love to know what y'all are doing. So who you are. So when you ask a question, or if you would like to talk about something, just mention which organization or agency you are part of, so that we get to know each other much better. So with that, let's kick off this session. And since it is Drone Safety Awareness Week and about drones, everything, so I'll let everyone do a quick introduction about their program and something about safety that they are looking into. So David, why don't you kickstart this? You're on mute, David. That's the most common thing we
Yeah, you told me to mute because I was talking too much. And people know me, know that's true. Let me say, first of all, thank you for all inviting me to be here. And I have participated in listening to several of your programs over the last months or so. And I do appreciate it. I gain some information every time I get to participate with that. So I'm in charge of high school drone programs. We have 2 drone programs currently in the high schools in North Carolina. Our approach, we actually, when we do anything, we start talking with industry people before we do anything. And before we began our drone programs, we actually met with Darsan and when he was at North Carolina Department of North Carolina DOT, and developed our programs based upon the need to understand that we want to make sure that our programs are designed to provide real pilots for this industry. I mean, our focus was let's get pilots. Where there's a demand, the hindrance for the future. I came out of the cell phone business, and the future, grows rapidly, and you've got to have qualified people ready to take those positions, or the industry technology will fall flat. You don't have people to do the work. So our focus was on how do we provide 107 certification to our students in high school, get them NCDOT operator permitted so that they meet the safety requirements, and then we can go from there. So our implementation was certification, pilots. Now, as we are finishing our establishment of that within the next year, our next approach is to go back down now to the 9th to 10th grade and middle school and focus more on STEM technology, because we haven't been focused on STEM. We're focused on pilots. But understanding STEM is a part of all that we do. But how do we make sure that those people that are entering into that pilot program are prepared for those pilot jobs? You understand? So that's where we start backing down the hill now. How do we get the STEM technology in the 9th and 10th grade and in middle school? And that's the programs that we're going to be working on. That's why interesting talking to Bill Lewis that he's back into school. How can we start finding ways to do that? So anyway, our program is based upon providing real people opportunities, where our second level courses are going to be focused on mapping, focused on flight, focused on entrepreneurship, but the first thing is we have to make sure that they're certified pilots. They can't even get into our second level class unless they're certified pilots. So that's been our approach, and we're excited about it. And we're growing. We had 20 programs last year. We're going to have 50 high school programs this year. And I just added 2 more programs that's going to be coming on board. Johnston County is adding a program. Edgecombe County is going to be adding a program. So we're excited about where we're going. And we appreciate all the effort that you guys are making to keep all of us abreast of the future. So I think I've given you enough to start with.
Thank you, David. Miriam.
I'm Miriam. I'm the editor-in-chief at Drone Life, and our job here at Safety Week and every week is to kind of let everybody know what's going on in the industry, all of the new developments, the new technologies that come up. And most recently, we've been kind of collaborating with some people at the FAA to sort of clarify some of those regulations that might not be as clear. And I just want to say I totally appreciate Riley's presentation and everything you guys are doing. I'm a mom. I got 2 kids, and one in college, so really want them to be employable. That would be great. Totally think that bringing drones into education is just such a great idea.
Thank you, Miriam. Juan.
Hey, thanks, Darshan, and thank you everybody for having me here. Again, Vern Salee. I'm a retired police captain from Chula Vista, California, Chula Vista Police Department. Had a 25-year career at Chula Vista PD, and established our drone program in 2016, when frankly we really didn't know exactly what we're going to get ourselves into. But we took the crawl, walk, run approach, and I'm so happy to hear about advocates like David and Miriam talking about the importance of professionalism, having professional pilots that are really fully trained, because that is a large gap now still. So I think Chula Vista's claim to fame, the only reason that I'm here is the Drone as a First Responder program is really what put our name on the map. But I think also the fundamentals that we built within the drone program in terms of community outreach first, right? Telling your story to the community so that people understand why the drones are there and flying around, and what the benefit, the drones for good aspect. Because if you don't communicate that, there's some elements in communities that really don't understand it and can become irritated with it. And if you don't tell your story, somebody else will make up a story and tell that about you, right? So that's the first thing, especially with the police, right? So we approached it that way, and then just the fundamentals of getting our pilots properly trained, and then establishing the right training programs and maintenance programs for the drones. We were so fortunate to, when timing, when opportunity meets preparation, like Chula Vista just could not have nailed that better, because we were selected in 2018 with this concept of getting drones first to calls before officers. And we had the concept, the FAA accepted us within the IPP. We started the Drone as a First Responder program in October 26, 2018. And by the time I retired, literally last month, we'd flown 3,700 missions. And as of today, I looked it up on the Chula Vista PD website. And then if you Google Chula Vista UAS, we try and put as much information on there as possible to be as transparent as possible. Today, as of today, we've flown 4,136 missions. That's Drone as First Responder, 10 to 15 missions a day, so supporting police officers, feeding them live video so that they can have better call outcomes. And it really protects our officers, protects the community, and even protects the suspects that we come into contact with. And then I'll kind of close this part out, but I did retire a month ago. I made the choice to go to a company called Axon, which is not big right now in the drone space, but they have a product. Axon is very famous in public safety. They created the TASER, right? The electronic control weapon. And then body-worn cameras, they're the top law enforcement provider for those, and they are a top law enforcement technology company. They are making a major investment into Axon Air, which is their drone piloting and software program, as well as storage, which is, I think everybody knows with drones, when you're shooting a lot of 4K video, storage quickly becomes a problem, especially if you have 4,000 flights, you're going to have a lot of video. And if you're relying on a server, you're going to be over at Best Buy a bunch buying hard drives and things. So happy to talk more about that and the opportunities that we're doing, and look forward to this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Juan. Ben?
Hi, everyone. Dash, thanks for inviting me to be a part of this panel. I'm excited to have a chance to speak to y'all. I might have to drop off. I'm out here conducting some operations with the FAA as part of our Part 135 and type certification. So Flytrex, we're a drone manufacturing company focused on drone delivery. We not only manufacture the aircraft, but also the back-end software. Our safety approach is really three prongs. First, since we're developing aircraft for drone delivery, we have multiple safeguards and safe mitigations for our operations, including a flight termination system, parachute recovery system, as well as some safety protocols built into our flight logic where we can go to safe hovers. So that's the hardware, kind of the side of the house for safety. Since we're manufacturing aircraft for type certified operations under Part 135, we have to fall within the Part 135 regulatory framework. So another huge element that we've been working on as a part of the integration pilot program in North Carolina and now beyond is developing that training program for our Part 107 pilots to really bridge the gap between Part 107 and Part 135 operations. So building a pretty robust training program is super critical to us.
Thank you, Wes, and I'm
Sorry,
sure.
Sorry, I had to make a radio call. I'm still going. And then
No worry.
the third prong is really with the customers, right? So this technology is new to everyone, and one of our biggest things, we have operations being conducted in North Dakota and Fayetteville currently, and another element is teaching people and our customers how to safely retrieve and accept a package. So we do a lot of community outreach and customer outreach with our new customers that sign up for the service, just to educate them on, it is a very safe aircraft, and we've done thousands and thousands of flights and thousands of deliveries in places like Reykjavik, Iceland, but it's not the best idea to walk underneath the drone. So we are continuously communicating with our customers to talk about what we're doing, but also, what is the best safety approach. So really, those are the ways that we're focusing on safety with our program and our aircraft, and we hope to continue to build that as the regulations for drones get migrated and integrated into the traditional aircraft operation regulations.
Thanks, Wes. And I think I learned something new today was it's not just the safety of the pilots and operation, it's also the customers. You have to teach them safety also. And that's something which most of the drone operations, we do not have customers in general. So drone delivery is really opening up a whole new area of education to customers on how to pick up a package, how to approach a drone and everything. And that's an interesting part. And I think Drone Safety Awareness Week, it's an ideal thing to be discussing about it. So for someone who had asked the question, this is Wes Schauer. He is from Flightrex, and he's unfortunately cannot do video because he's having the flight operations going on. And so he's on audio. Ben, let's, Ben, go ahead.
Hey everybody, my name is Ben Spain. I'm the relatively new UAS program manager over at NC DOT. I come from primarily an Air Force background. I flew C-130s for the Air Force for probably 11-ish years. But now I'm in DOT, and we really have two big primary focuses. One is using drones on the current infrastructure, so helping the folks out there working on the roads, building bridges, rail, all of it, implement drones safely and efficiently to help them do their projects, right? And then the second kind of more interesting half is focusing on the new types of infrastructure that drones, UAS, and eventually even things like urban air mobility, larger unmanned aircraft will bring. And so trying to prepare the state through programs like the FAA's Beyond or IPP, for that to come. And that includes, it includes the whole ecosystem from education, talking with David Barber there and Riley, to building the digital infrastructure, which is something kind of new, to even physical infrastructure. So we've kind of got our hands in a lot of pots. So.
Thanks, Ben. And that's something, for folks who are on this and just called in, and those who are watching the streaming, the panelists today, come from different backgrounds. They have come from military, public safety, education, and the main thing there, end of the day, is that we're all part of the drone industry and we have different roles to play. So it's very important for each one to play their role responsibly, because as David mentioned, we're preparing the future workforce for this industry. We have certain limitations and knowledge of this industry, but the future workforce will come with a more open, broad-minded approach, because they're going to be taught about all this thing at a very early stage, age also. So it's very important for us to make sure that we are setting the right path, the right opportunity for them. And with folks like Wes and Vern and Ben, who are driving initiatives, it's Miriam's responsibility to take it all around the world. So we have a great lineup of panelists. And Riley, if you would like to kick off with the questions. And folks who are on this, please post your questions. We will, and if you have a question to a specific person, please mention that. But rest of the thing will be more in general.
Absolutely. So we'll go ahead and get started. We will work backwards from introduction. So we will lead off with Ben. Ben, I know just a few minutes ago you spoke very briefly about Beyond. Under the new Beyond program, what are some new initiatives at NCDOT that you guys look forward to or look forward to exploring?
Yeah, so there's a few distinct differences between IPP and Beyond. IPP, or the UAS Integration Pilot Program, was a White House directed program to the FAA. So the White House told the FAA, you shall do this, right? And Beyond is an FAA driven initiative. So you can imagine there's a little bit of difference there. And then IPP was more focused on just in general, what are the problems, what are the limitations of integrating drones in the national airspace? Whereas Beyond has specifically focused in on beyond visual line of sight, which I guess is where they got the name from. And so they're looking to, the FAA wants to continue working with the 9 partners they have. I guess it's 8 now, 1 dropped out, to explore beyond visual line of sight options and how to get to where drones can routinely fly beyond line of sight. It's definitely, this program's 4 years long. I think the previous one, by the time everything got up and running, was 2 years long. So we've got a longer runway there to kind of work with the FAA. But we've definitely got challenges ahead of us as well. There's not really a technological solution still for beyond visual line of sight. If you look at ground-based radars, there hasn't been a proven solution that can find everything and provide, the information quick enough for a drone to make an appropriate reaction. And there's also not a proven or an FAA approved aircraft system, something on board the aircraft to help detect other aircraft. And I'm focusing on that because really the biggest hurdle is being able to visually, or do what a pilot does when they're flying, visually identifying other aircraft and avoiding them. That's the hurdle, is how do we get the drones to find the other aircraft out there that are non-cooperative, they're not talking on a radio and they're not squawking a transponder code. How do we find them? And how do we not hit them? And there's not really a proven solution for that yet. And so Beyond is here for the FAA to start kind of testing with different things and see. And I'm excited about it because within North Carolina, we have now 5 routine package delivery routes. One is beyond visual line of sight. And that's the Novant zipline route down in the Charlotte area. And we're really hoping that some of our other partners can move to beyond visual line of sight, and the FAA will help, let them test some different technologies. And we're also looking forward to all of our partners. We have the same main partners going in, so Zipline, UPS, Flytrex, and Volancy. We're looking for all 4 of them to continue to expand their routes and provide good service.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Wes, if you're available on the call, what was the outcome of UAS IPP for drone delivery?
I'm here, fortunately. The biggest thing for us was really relationship building with the FAA. I think in the beginning, it wasn't really a clear picture of how we were going to take the traditional Part 135 regulations and blend it into UAS operations. And really, we worked on that for about three solid years, is looking at the old verbiage and writing compliance statements with all those regulations and saying, this one doesn't really work. We understand the spirit of the rules, so let's adjust it to this. The FAA dedicated a lot of resources to work with the private and public partners to really get it to the next step and get some small wins. But like Mr. Ben said, there wasn't a lot of wins with beyond visual line of sight, really at all. There's a couple of small hints at beyond visual line of sight operations, but there wasn't anything really significant. So for us, it was building relationships and really setting the pathway for future operations.
Thank you. Mr. Barber, how are the schools that you're talking about, our K-12 system, how are they integrating drones into the curriculum right now currently?
Okay, well, what we found is that, first of all, there's a lot of people playing with drones. You understand the difference. I mean, they'll go buy a drone and they'll do something with it, but they have no knowledge whatsoever about safety. They don't know they can't fly outside with a certain thing. Of course, now with AMA allows them, the teacher can fly without being 107 certified. But there's still requirements to meet the recreational requirements, which most of them don't even know that there is. So there's lots of, they also don't know that there's a liability insurance. That's really been one of our biggest factors, that the schools don't realize that their insurance probably doesn't cover drones, because a lot of liability insurance policies have waivers. Not waivers, what are they called? Where they take it away. You have to ask for it. They don't put it on there. So you can get it put back, but you got to pay money to put in drones. And so we've had that communications with, so we can't do anything about those things. But what we can do something about is, as trade industrial education, as we focus on trying to provide real job opportunities for students, we can try to re-educate people across the board by doing things the right way. Get with industry, find out what their needs are. We're proud to announce on December the 9th, we're going to have our first statewide advisory board we call it the North Carolina High School Drone Advisory Committee. We're modeled it after the National DAC. And so we do a lot of the same terminologies. We've got a really good group of people across different industries, education, and like I said, industry. We focused on the different ones, including Progress Energy, Progress Energy, UPS. Well, Darsan's going to be on there. Ben's going to be on there. Riley's going to be on there. You know, we got a lot of people who are excited about this opportunity so that we can make sure that the programs that we're driving are driven based upon the needs of customers. You know, because if we're not meeting the needs of customers, we're wasting our time. So, you know, we're excited about those opportunities. But what we decided was that we have to educate our school systems. We have to make sure that we put in place requirements for safety, requirements for, you know, insurance is very important for them. What type of equipment? We have made a 180, 360 maybe even loop between what type of equipment we started with and the type of equipment we recommend today. Because we can train people with a lot less expensive equipment than we had in the past. Right now, well, in fact, our drone of choice right now that we're recommending for our high schools is the new Mavic Air 2. I mean, why wouldn't you? You know, it does everything that we need it to do, and it's an awesome drone. I mean, for less than $1,000, it does everything you want to do. And so we have totally changed around, and it's very safe. But the point is, we are maturing as we go. We just had a discussion today while our Drone 2 class, students have to be 107 certified. They have to be NCDOT operator permitted before they can even get into the class. Because we want to make sure the student is safe when we go out there and start flying missions, that they're safe, right? That safety, not just, as we've already discussed, not just themselves, but everyone around them is safe. And so, you know, we're really focused on that. And schools will be hard pressed. Our teachers have to be 107 certified pilots. They have to be NCDOT operator permitted. You know, they have to be one to teach one. So, you know, we're focused on that. But that is at this level where we're making the students get certified. When we start backing down the hill now, as we said, we start up here where it's interfacing with the public, but if we start backing down the hill, you know, AMA has come out with, they pushed the FAA requirements. So now that the teachers don't have to be 107 certified if you use drones in the classroom, you can fly them under the recreational requirements. Okay, I'm not really a big fan of that, but okay. If that's the case, then how do we ensure that the teachers that are teaching drones in their classroom are familiar with familiar with the recreational requirements? Our recommendation is that they still meet the NCDOT operator permit for government. I believe, in talking with Darsan, I believe in talking with actually your predecessor being Basil Yap, the teachers should still be required to meet NCDOT operator permit requirements. I mean, I'm going to tell you, folks, if you can't meet that requirement, you probably don't need to be flying a drone. You have a PDF file you got to read through and take the test. I mean, so the point is we need to hold people accountable in education for making sure that we're safe. If a student was get hurt, if people get hurt, it's going to be hard for the school systems to justify to their people being sued if their teachers are not at least DOT operator permitted. I mean, you understand? So I think that's something that we need to do a better job on at communicating. So as we go into STEM technology, yes, absolutely. Let's get these students started early and understanding and learning, because when you do something new, I saw something new today. I was reading an article from LinkedIn today about the, you know, we no longer are focused on millennials. We now have to focus on the zillennials. I think they're called zillennials. And there are people that are born 1995 and above, right? Well, 1995 and 2000 are zennials. And they said that the future is already being dictated. Technology is already being dictated by what they accept, not what the millennials accept, what they accept. And in our view, that you're going to see more and more drones are going to become a thing of just, and so you're going to see less and less people concerned about drone technology and where it's going. So we need to make sure that we emphasize safety in the classroom. We believe that as we go forward, we're going to be seeing standardized courses, not just that I'm teaching for certification purposes, but you're going to see courses that are designed not just to incorporate drones, but are going to be aligned to emphasize drones as standardized courses in the 9th and 10th grade and middle school. And they're already out there. Pisco already has some. Drone Cadet already has some. I mean, there are providers already who are doing great things out there with these type of programs. And so we're believe that within the next 5 years, you're going to see a crop of students that are coming to my programs that are ready and able to get their 107, get their DOT operator permit, go into that second level class, get their mapping certifications, get their NFPA 2400 certifications, and go into industry with 100 to 200 hours of drone piloting experience. And they'll skip the community college, unfortunately, and to start with. They'll skip community college. They'll skip the 4-year university to go to work. And therefore, these drone companies are going to have to find ways of enticing them through tuition reimbursement to get them to go and take that valuable training they can get at Lenore Community College or Montgomery Community College or Guilford Tech, and then go to East Elizabeth City State University and get their 4-year degree, or even go down to Florida to Embry-Riddle and get their 4-year degree to become those drone engineers. We are moving. We do have Python. We're teaching in the high schools. We have 2 courses already, but they're not focused on drones. But we believe that will happen as we make this more and more. We'll see drone programs for Python. So we're excited about where we are, where we're going, and we appreciate all your involvement. You can't do it by yourself. It's about building relationships. It's about building, make sure we have that pipeline that provides what we need, and through all of your help, we're getting better. Our students are going to get better. Our teachers are getting better, and the industry is going better as a result.
Thank you so much. We do have a question on a chat while we are talking about STEM from Ron, and I'm just going to read it, and I'll let people jump in as you see fit. I understand that STEM is focused on high school and below mostly, but what about the different universities that are popping up with their own programs that are not necessarily safe? And I'll take just a brief moment to address this, since I'm from the community college system and we're doing a lot of instruction across the state. We have a brand new CTE building that has just been built on our campus. It's humongous. It's unbelievable. And we are partnering with our school system who is getting ready to adopt drones. And again, I know in your question, you're saying that's the high school, but from a community college and working with other partner universities that are much larger than we are, we're just trying to make sure that this high school is safe in the program. And they're trying to model that program after what we're doing in public safety, which is just a little bit different, which you don't see yet a lot in the high school system. But they're trying to go after the public safety aspect of it. We're trying to make sure that they meet the safety factors. From my standpoint in North Carolina, and I can only speak to the colleges and universities that I know, and Bill can shed some light on this along with Darshan and Ben. The colleges and universities that I know are, state and other large places that are really trying to be very strict as far as safety goes. You've got Winston-Salem State. You've got Dash. What's the group that we went to and talked to down at the coast? My mind just went blank.
Wilmington, UNC Wilmington?
Elizabeth City. I'm being at Elizabeth City.
Yeah.
These guys are practicing a lot of safety and trying to do it the right way. And to Ron's statement, there are different places that are popping up. Just like we find in industry, there's a lot of people popping up and they have the wrong, I hate to say this, but it's going to come out wrong, but it's just the right statement. They're putting people that are in place that don't know the ins and outs. They're not talking to the groups that we're talking to. They're not on this podcast or webinar today. They're not reaching out to the Ben Spains. They're not reaching out to the Darshans. They're not getting these people involved in those programs, and they're trying to get it up fast. there's a lot of money to be made in drones that we're all going to talk about a little later. So we have to be careful with that. So I can't speak to every one of them, but I feel like that might be one of the problems with some of the larger universities that are trying to stand up programs quick. But I'll let some other people weigh in before we go to the next question.
I think I'm just going to put a point up there is I think FAA has identified and understood this problem also, that there are programs, educational institutions are coming up with drone programs without any discussion with FAA or with their state agencies like the Department of Transportation's emergency management and stuff. So they have started FAA started the US College Aid Initiative. So it's what US CTI, it's what it's called. And basically FAA is working with the universities and other education institutes to provide them the right guidance, funding, and also to the point they want to connect with industries that are working on these initiatives. So it requires a lot of people to collaborate with the universities. And you're right, Ron, you just mentioned a number of university professors don't have operational knowledge. And that is, it's not just in the university side, it's the industry overall. If you see many of the industries that are integrating drones into their programs, their program managers are not compulsory, are not really even Part 107 pilots, are not even educated about drones, but they are pushed into that role. So similarly, it's not just in university, but it's in everything. And it's very few programs you will see the leaders or the folks who are driving those initiatives actually coming with US or aviation or GIS background. Rest of them are put into that situation because they are already program manager or they are program leads, and they have taken up this as a technology task. So what David had mentioned earlier about educating school system before we build a program. Similarly, it's educating the universities, industries. Everything has to be educated about building the right program, what funding is needed, what safety measures have to be taken, all these things. So it's have to be put into action. It's not just a university. Universities are trying to take the opportunity because students are interested. But most of the time they are working without any industry support or state support. And this is where we as organizations, nonprofits and state agencies and industry need to approach them and say if we can provide any assistance. Maybe it is internships, maybe it's resources, maybe demonstrations, maybe even teaching a class. It's our responsibility to reach out to them.
Ms. McNabb, I think you had a statement.
Thanks. I think that this is one of those situations where we're in this lag in the industry before standardization. So, I always go back to kind of comparing to the development of other transportation industries like automobiles. And now when your kid goes to get their license, those classes and what they are required to be taught are very, very prescribed. There are federal standards, there are state standards that say these things must be taught in this order. You must spend X number of hours practicing. You must have this kind of exposure. And I think that unfortunately, we're just in this gap where those standards haven't been developed yet. So like Darshan says, the FAA is working on this and is trying to get those standards. I honestly think in 20 years, when David's talking to his classes, it's not going to be a question of we recommend this. It's going to be very prescribed. This is the federal regulation. You want to teach these kids to get their license. This is exactly how you do it. This is what you have to cover. These are how many hours you need to spend in the classroom, in the air, etc. But until then, unfortunately, it's really up to organizations like Riley's, Darshan's, all of these organizations to kind of come together and support these universities in building those standards themselves in the absence of the federal standards, which just aren't there yet. And unfortunately, they're not going to be there next year either. It's going to take time.
And I think that that really, Miriam, you answered Ron's questions. How do we take the NC DAC mentioned by David and spread across the US? It's our responsibility. If you're part of a state that is not North Carolina, that does not mean you cannot drive an initiative there. You have to identify who the David of that state is, who's working with the public education system and driving those initiatives. Maybe reach out to them, talk to them, educate them. maybe connect them to David and pass the message. And I know David is doing outreach with other states also. So these are things, we have to, we cannot wait for, I would put it this way, we cannot wait for David to start a program. We have to find if the right David out there. I'm putting David out there is the name. If it's education, now it's David. So it's a good thing. But I'm just saying that every state has to find their champion to drive in different initiatives. In North Carolina, the US, the NCDOT drone program is the champion for the state. Similarly, other states have different champions for different institutions, industries, organizations, and you have to identify that. And it cannot be done by one person. It has to be a joint. So work with your organizations and work with your nonprofits and everything. So I think we'll move ahead. If someone has any question, anyone has anything to add to this? Okay, we just move ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll talk about this in the open mic portion after we get done with all the questions. My next question is for Vern. It was much like Wes's question. What was the outcome from UAS IPP for public safety?
Thanks a lot, Riley. As I mentioned before, kind of already tipped the hand, actually over 4,000 missions for drone as a first responder, which was just, we never actually realized how wildly successful it was, but it was so important. If you look at law enforcement today, and I think everybody's seen the challenges of the last 9 months, either between COVID or even just some of the civil unrest and incidents, think about the lack of information that public safety folks and first responders have when a 911 call comes in. Oftentimes it's coming in from a citizen who sees an incident. They're not first responders and professionals. They don't know what they're seeing. They're trying to interpret it. They might misinterpret it. It's traumatic to them, especially if it's some kind of violent crime, and we get really, really limited information. So that, if it's a robbery or something, the police officers are just doing their best to get there with the limited information that they have. And the whole concept of drone as a first responders, if we can get a drone there and feed live information, it completely changes the tactics and response so that we're able to bring the right tactics, tools, and resources to bear to then have better call outcomes and reduced instances of use of force. And so I think everyone can imagine that. We literally have many dozens of cases in Chula Vista where if we didn't outright save lives of people, that we absolutely help prevent further injuries and de-escalate it and return things to normal faster. And that's a massive, really massive win. In terms of the technical aspects, and I think I shared with you, when I started in 2016, I was a captain in charge of patrol operations. Intellectually, I knew drones would be important to policing, but I wasn't a hobbyist, right? And so my learning curve, unfortunately, is exactly what you're talking about. A professional in another area, realizing there's a tool I need to get into, but it was so complex that, it was a challenge. The good part that I had was I recognized where my weaknesses were, and I did not pretend that I was going into this as an expert. So I'm a huge fan of partnering and outsourcing expertise when you don't have it. And law enforcement will need to do that, a ton of that. And that's where there's opportunities for some of the students that David is training or some companies that are out there to provide services, because as a law enforcement professional, my goal is I want my first responders doing their highest level work as first responders. And if that's a police officer, I want that police officer focused on call resolution, de-escalation. If it's an active shooter or something, I want the gun toter to be a gun toter. I don't want them to be a drone pilot, right? I think that's what the public wants. And so we had to conceptualize, what does that actually look like? And we built the concept of drone as first responder behind that. I will have to say our experience with the FAA was really amazing. It is a small but powerful team, all the way up to Jay Merkel working with us a ton. And, but after we started getting more and more wins and actually showing the positive impact of getting the drone there, they really started to loosen up on the regulatory structure. And I'm not saying it was easy. We fought tooth and nail for everything that we had, but we did get some really significant things, such as the first urban public safety BV loss waiver to get us to 3 nautical miles, which was huge. That expanded our operational area. We're able to reach a lot more calls. The average response time from when we get a call to when we get a drone on scene is less than 2.5 minutes. Imagine that, 2.5 minutes to get a drone overhead and start feeding live information to a first responder is massive. When our typical priority 1 response time is 6 minutes, completely changes the call dynamic. More recently, back I think it was in July, we received a tactical beyond visual line of sight waiver. That's more for like an active shooter situation or a call where we might actually have to dip the drone instead of being up high at 200 or 300 feet like drone as a first responder. Dip the drone under a tree canopy or under a patio in an area where it's technically beyond visual line of sight of the officer who is, a distance away, but we were able to show the FAA, it is, the balance of weighing safety of if we're there to save a life, if we have an active shooter, you don't want to have your police officers exposing themselves to gunfire, or we don't have time to do other means when we can get a drone in there and actually get live information. And the risk is really low, especially because it tends to be a very small, lightweight drone, right? So under certain circumstances, agencies now, law enforcement throughout the U.S. can now apply for a tactical beyond visual line of sight waiver. And then literally after I left, I fought for this for a year, along with our IPP manager in San Diego, Caitlin McCauley, who was a pit bull with the FAA and really had built a great relationship and really got them to finally close on this. 1 to 2, which allows us to actually have 1 pilot fly 2 drones. So we're able to relieve our drones and have 2 in the air with 1 pilot with the safety case that we have. As well as we now had, prior we had about 17 square miles of the city where we had permission to fly a drone as a first responder. We literally expanded it to citywide, the ability to essentially stand up another 3 launch stations. So for a 52 square mile city, we can have 5 or 6 different launch locations and have almost 100% aerial coverage of our city with those 5 drones at a fraction of the cost of a manned helicopter unit. And so it's my understanding that unfortunately the city of San Diego was the lead participating agency in the IPP. They chose not to continue their aspect of it, but Chula Vista itself and our relationship with the FAA is going to continue to have an agency level relationship with us to continue at this baseline where we stand and then continue to try and push forward. So we really felt like we got some of the best wins out of the IPP, especially for law enforcement. And that's just kind of backstopping and reinforcing what everybody's already talked about, the building professionalism into new industries that don't have experience with drones, but realize that they need to get into it. I was, as a result of this, I was asked to be on the U.S. Department of Justice. They have what's called the COPS Office of Community-Oriented Policing. They actually this year published a best practices for public safety agencies to deploy UAS systems, and it literally was subject matter experts from law enforcement, public safety, disaster response throughout the country, congregated together, contributed to this. And so there's literally, a very formal, I don't remember the number of pages, but probably 50 to 80 page go-by document, step-by-step of how agencies should consider best practices, policies, and operations in UAS. So public safety is a huge new market in it, but it is, again, like Miriam said, we're in the very, very early stages. She's more articulate. I call it the Wild West because we're literally figuring out, and some people are pulling triggers faster than others, right? I tend to be I'm going to pull the trigger, but I'm going to make sure I'm accurate. So that's where I stand.
Thank you, Vern. Ms. McNabb, you have a 2-part question. Where are we currently with UTM, and what are we going to see in 2021?
All right. So first of all, I'm not more articulate. If you look at our about page, it says the wild, wild west of drones. Somebody came up with that back in 2012 when we started. So let's talk about UTM. So the first thing that we are always telling everybody is when it comes to unmanned traffic management, UTM is not one thing. This is not a COVID vaccine where you either got it or you don't. It's not, kind of going to be developed and tested and released on a particular day. It's really a lot of things. But the programs for developing those technologies have progressed. So when we talk about the technology side, we're talking about ways for drones to communicate with each other, to communicate with air traffic control, to communicate with other aircraft, deconfliction capabilities, and so forth. So there has been the UTM pilot program. Phase 2 was actually just completed, I think, earlier this week or very end of last week. I think it was earlier this week. And that was a 5 big players, actually: AirMap, Aeros, Wing, ANRA Technologies. That's 4, I guess. And the difference between phase 2 and phase 1 of the UTM pilot program was that these players really came to the demonstration this time with really production ready technology. So they have technology that they are already using. So they have apps where they can communicate with each other. If you've booked a flight on AirMap and you're using the Wing flight planning app, you're going to be able to see the AirMap flight. So they're really working towards getting a complete knowledge of everything that's in the air. Now, in order for that to kind of move forward, there need to be a lot of decisions made, which simply haven't been made yet. So the rule on remote ID really needs to be released, and we hope that that's been promised for actually the end of December. We'll see what happens on that. But there are, in the background, the FAA's technology partners are trying to establish kind of baseline requirements for that technology and so forth. But we need all of the different pieces to come into place. You need the regulation before you can build the technology to meet the standards as defined in the regulation. So there's a lot of work to still be done. But I think that the difference now is that these technology partners are coming to the table with really production-ready products, kind of taking sort of piece by piece of the whole framework on the technology side. I think what happens to happen in 2021 is we are going to get some more of those regulatory pieces in place. We're going to see the remote ID rule released. Hopefully, we're going to see regulation on flight over people and flight at night, which would regularize those, kind of standardize what needs to happen in order for you to fly at night, or what needs to happen in order for you to perform commercial operations over people. And as those regulatory standards get put into place, the technology develops to support it, and the whole kind of network comes together. And I'm sort of encouraged and excited to hear, things like Ben talking about that they're looking at the new types of infrastructure that are necessary. If you think about air traffic management, you've got all kinds of infrastructure. You've got traffic control towers, you've got runways, you've got airports. So what kinds of similar things, if any, do you really need to support a full integration of drones? And then the last thing that I will finish with for what I think the focus is next year is that right now we're still talking about a low volume of drones. When we're doing pilot programs, and when you're talking about using drones in a state, you're talking about a few drones. You're going to be able to see those drones. You're going to be able to keep track of those drones because there just aren't that many. What's really needs to be built into the system is increasingly dense airspace. So the problem is not when you've got 2 delivery companies working on specific projects in your state. The problem is when you have as many delivery drones as you have Amazon trucks. I mean, I live in a small town, and let me tell you, they're going by every 3 minutes. So if you think about that level of density of needing to deconflict, not one drone looking at one drone, but one drone looking at 4 or 5 drones all around them in 360 degrees, that's a different kind of thing. So we're looking at, one step at a time. Right now, we're talking about flight over people, flight at night. What can you do with regular commercial operations? But in the future, they're looking at what are you going to do when the airspace is literally full of drones at some times or in some locations.
Thanks, Miriam. As we move ahead with more questions, I just wanted to mention about one of the initiatives that we kicked off, that is Donate a Drone program for public safety agencies, first responders, and emergency responders in North Carolina. And we had officially done a week-long, opened up the portal for forms to be submitted. Totally, we got 18 agencies and organizations that approached us, and are looking at donating 2 drones. We already did, during August, we donated 2 Skydios to 2 agencies. If you want more information on that, you can visit our AUVSI North Carolina webpage and see our Donate a Drone initiative to see which agencies receive the drone to help start the program. Nicole just posted the link, and you can see some photos from there after they got their drone. So we are excited to have one more this year. We are hoping to get 2 drones donated. Parrot. For this donated drone November edition, we got Parrot to be a part of it, and we got Pix4D also. So this I would call this a Thanksgiving and Christmas bonus, that we are going to be giving minimum 2 drones to 2 agencies with a year-long Pix4D React license. So they are going to be able to fly the Parrot NFE thermal, which is around, I think, $1,900 to $2,000, and the Pix4D React, which is around $35 to $40 a month to use Pix4D React. This whole thing, the Pix4D React for 1 year will be given free to them, and we'll see if they need more. We will be able to assess them in the future, but we had to make a tough selection. Not that out of the 18, we will only give these 2 agencies. Eventually, our vision is to give each and every agency in North Carolina a drone and a drone program, and help them with their drone program. So any agency that does not have a drone program in North Carolina, our goal is to help get them at least 1 drone and help kickstart their program. So I know the vision is big and it's going to take time, but it starts with small steps. And this year, if we can give the minimum 4 drones to 4 agencies, that'll be great. We are accepting donations, any amount. You want to give 50, 100, 10, whatever it is, you can donate it. The link is there. It's a PayPal link. Please donate. Year round, you can donate whatever amount you want. The more money we raise, the more drones we can hand out. And we are, so last time we had Skydio as a partner. This time we have Pix4D and Parrot. So Parrot and Pix4D as a partner. We'll be partnering with other drone companies. So we are drone agnostic. And our main thing is to bring the technology and software and accessories to these agencies at no cost. So if these agencies are attending today, please unmute and just give us a hello and little about your agency. But the 2 agencies, did someone say something?
No, it was me. I didn't know if you want me to announce who the winners were.
Absolutely. So so without any further ado, let Riley, you can announce the 2 winners.
Yeah, absolutely. So as Darshan said, we had several applications, but we would like to congratulate Gaston County Police Department and Currituck County as our 2 winners. So again, Gaston County Police Department and Currituck County, congratulations.
Is anyone from Gaston County there on this call?
You're on the call.
So, did I hear someone on the call?
Yeah, we're here from Currituck County.
All right. Just give us your full name and your role and little about how this drone is going to help. In short, we don't want to take much of your time.
Yeah, no problem. So my name is Stephen Powell, and I work as the Deputy Emergency Management Coordinator in Currituck County. So we are the northeasternmost county in the state that borders Virginia Beach. And so we started a drone program back in the fall. So we currently have one licensed pilot, and that's myself. And we have 3 sheriff deputies that are going through the course right now to get their license. So we do not have a drone right now, but it sounds like we may have a drone here coming soon. So that's very exciting. So yeah, I mean, we're going to use it for a wide breadth of public safety, both emergent and non-emergent cases. So both training and exercising, and then also for incidents as well. So that's exciting for us. Another one of our big hazards is flooding. So that's going to help us in a lot of our, damage assessment and those type of things. So yeah, we're super stoked. I know I told a lot of people about it today that we entered, and I let them know that if we won. So that's exciting. So thank you very much.
Congratulations. And along with the Parrot NFV thermal, you'll also be getting a PIX4D React. So it'll help you with mapping missions and quick mapping missions and everything. So
Awesome.
Nicole Ramsey, our Secretary of AUSA, will reach out to you with more details. We already have received, Parrot has already sent us one of the NFVs. We have it, and the other one is also in North Carolina. We just have to get it out to the people. But congratulations again, and we will reach out to you. And Parrot and PIX4D will both be on the call as we have an onboarding process to help you all out. And
Awesome.
and if you need any help with the drone program, you have organized us. You can reach out to us, and we'll connect you to NCDOT and NC Public Safety Drone Academy and others within the state to provide you guidance and resources.
All right, perfect. I appreciate it.
Congrats. Thank you. And anyone from Gaston County Police? That's fine. We'll pass the message on to them. But again, we have only selected 2 because that's all we have the funding for right now. But we are hoping, folks keep contributing. The list that we have, those are the folks who are going to eventually get a drone, but we just don't know in what order. And we just want to make sure that we are able to get the drone before we promise anything. So year round, if you have extra money you want to donate, just make sure you reach out to us or you go to our PayPal account and just donate it, and we will be providing the technology to them. So we'll continue moving on, and since it's a little bit about since it's drone safety, we'll change a little format and just talk about the different days and have some questions put out. We'll open it up to everyone who would want to answer this, but we also would like to know what the panelists are doing in this specific topic. So first day of the Drone Safety Awareness Week is about learn, and so we have a question: is what do you need to know before you fly? So so let me start out with Wes. Wes, if you're on the call, what is the message out to people that they need to know before they go out to fly? Just 1 or 2 small things is also good enough. Is Wes there? All right, we'll move on. If Wes comes back, we can ask a question. Ben, what would be your message out to people that they need to know before they fly?
If you're flying in North Carolina, know the laws.
Perfect. That's a really good thing.
Yeah, so we had a social media post on that day on Monday to a link. North Carolina Central University made a map that maps out all the different municipalities' laws across North Carolina in terms of where you can and can't take off a drone and things like that. So if you need that link, I can find it. I'll put it in the chat actually, but that's a really good resource. I think a lot of people didn't know is out there because it's definitely complicated. I know I've been there before trying to figure out like where in the world do I find what I am and am not allowed to do in this new place. So yeah, there you go.
Sure. And Ben, that's a really good information. And folks who are operating in North Carolina, Ben, if you can post the link so that they know about it. And again, it's a knowledge that's very important. In North Carolina, you have to have a FAA commercial pilot license and your North Carolina permit. And Ben will post the link in case you did not know something new found out today. Anyone else from the audience who would like to answer? I got Ron who mentioned know your airspace. Absolutely. Is there anything else specific that you have found out which will be helpful for people? Let me know who would like to talk about it. Miriam, you're on mute, I think. You're on mute. Is Miriam on mute?
I'm unmuted. Am I unmuted?
Yeah, now you're unmuted.
Okay. Okay. I think that everybody needs to know, and especially, my publication is called Drone Life, so I'm just not going to be able to help as much as the local community papers are and the larger media things. When I run into people, it's shocking how many people you see flying drones who don't know that there are rules. They don't know that it exists. They've never heard of Part 107. They don't know that they're supposed to register the drone. If you ask them who was in charge of that drone, they couldn't name the FAA. So I think it's honestly in the commercial side, we look at sort of more specific things, but in the general world out there, everybody needs to sort of get the message out. You guys are aviators. This is airspace. There are rules. There are laws, and you got to obey them.
True. Bill?
Just a couple of things on what Ben said about the laws and regulations. We also are putting together for AUVSI a map of where are some places to fly. So if you are aware of a location that's safe, appropriate for recreational flyers to get out there, please contact us. We can update that. We want to have a map out there for people who visit North Carolina and for people inside North Carolina who might be traveling to a new place and aren't certain where they can fly. So please give us those updates. I'll also say if you've watched this week with the drone safety, I had my learn on Monday. So I used the letters LEARN in order to give us a mnemonic, launch and land, the environment, rules and regulations, and NOTAM. So did I spell it all right? Oh, and airspace. So I spelled learn, LERN. So we've got that up on our website. We've got links to that. So might give a quick little refresher for those getting out there beginning as to what to look for.
Exactly. Yeah, David, go ahead.
I was going to say, so I'm a town council for the town of Smithfield, North Carolina. And one of the things that obviously I have an interest in drones. And town of Smithfield bought themselves 2 drones years ago. And they just kind of had them. They ping on a while. They don't really have anybody that was, there was no strategy here at all. And so since then, we put together a committee. Paul Rossi has come help us to try to put together a strategy on how we're going to do it. We are in the process of putting together a drone policy for the town of Smithfield for their employees. But also, the biggest part is we're developing a strategy for where you can fly safely in Smithfield, making it known to people. You can come to Smithfield, here are dedicated places to fly your drone. We're going to post the basic recreational requirements for pilots so everyone can see, don't fly 400 feet, don't fly over people, the basic requirements so that everyone sees it. It's about awareness in your community. I think every municipality, every county government, state governments, everybody needs to be communicating to the public, posting things out where they think people are flying about what the rules are. Ignorance is really no excuse. We aren't provided, the government employees are responsible. I think that the DOT ought to send something out to all of our school system and say, cease and desist. If you're flying a drone and don't pass the DOT operator permit, you can't fly as a school teacher. I've tried to promote it within DPI and got, no, you can't do that. We have to stay within our sandbox of CTE. But it's about communication, about how do we get it. So anyway, we're developing a strategy in the town of Smithfield so that we're smart, that our citizens know. They don't just buy a drone, but they have a place to fly the drone. We're getting ready to build NIST standards, the NIST standards. We're going to build some NIST standards in our park so our kids and our adults who have drones can have a place to fly some type of setup. So they don't just go in their backyard and fly over their neighbor's house, which gets their neighbors all upset. If you give them a gun and you load the gun and you don't give them anywhere to shoot the gun, they're shooting in the backyard, folks. That's the way it is. So it's our responsibility too. Darshan, one of the things that we talked about, and I'd like to see AUVISI do what you and I had talked about, putting together for North Carolina. We can't talk about other places. For North Carolina, a traveling show where we're in the one part of the state on Monday, one on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We travel across the state with industry partners promoting drones, the use of drones, drone safety, and we can hold it at the community colleges from one end and end up maybe at Elizabeth State University at their drone programs they have over there at the end of the week with a big to-do and get the news media and all to promote. And we can, why not? That's something, I know you changed positions, but we were going to have that, that, and it was going to happen. So we need to go back and do it. But promote is what we need to do.
Darshan?
Yeah.
How is everybody today? Glad to be back here. I had experience with our municipalities in town of Oyster Bay and the town of Huntington where I live. When I got started in this drone business about 4 years ago, they started to have a no-fly zone of any sort, both municipalities. And that's a big chunk of Long Island. You've got New York City, you've got moving into Nassau County. Oyster Bay is from North Shore all the way down to the South Shore, and Huntington is part of the North Shore, Western Suffolk, big land masses where no drones could be flown. So that wasn't good for me because I couldn't fly my drone and I wanted to work. So what I ended up doing was building the relationship with both municipalities and got in there and actually with a group of people helped them understand drones, talk to the safety people, talk to the supervisors of the towns, and we were able to actually get their attention. And now there are two brand new ordinances that are flying very, very well in both town of Oyster Bay and Huntington. And we even designed the permits for them as well. And these two towns adopted it. We can fly recreationally in Huntington's parklets, and we can fly recreationally in the town of Oyster Bay's beaches off-season. So there was a place where people can fly. I know there was a mention today about insurance and all, that AMA is absolutely secondary insurance, and people need to be educated as well if they're going to fly drones in a municipality. The municipality is not going to tell them that. They're not. And, so the awareness, along with opening up municipalities, we have to be responsible to getting the word out that, yeah, if you're going to fly a drone recreationally, you better be covered. And two, if you're going, obviously, if you're commercial, that's a no-brainer. But I think what everybody's saying here is getting the word out and the proper word out. I'm glad we were able to do that here in the two towns, but more work has to be done.
True. That's really good information.
And I would just say, Darshan, when it comes to recreational, the pilots that are out there flying for fun, they're not tuning into these kinds of discussions. They're not scrolling LinkedIn looking for those, insightful regulatory tips. They're buying a drone and then they're going out and flying it. So to connect with these folks, you got to go out and fly. So to be able to go out, we say we want to help recreational users understand how to safely operate, but there's no money in it because no one's paying you to tell them what they can't do that they've already been doing. It's kind of like cars. You have to have a license to drive a car. And we know the rules. The speed limit's posted on the road. And yet, licensed drivers every day go out and break the law. But just on recreational, it's getting out into the community and flying with these folks and helping them understand what it is that they're doing and what impact they can have on the commercial drone operations.
True. That makes sense. So if we continue with the Drone Safety Awareness Week, the second day is focused on improve. So let me go to one, put one in the situation. So one, for public safety agencies and everyone, what is your advice on how can you improve your flying skills? And why I ask this question is because I feel from compared to industry and public safety do not get enough training to drive. So what is your message and how would they improve their flying skills?
Yeah, thanks for that question. It's absolutely huge. So again, being an administrator, I recognized safety was paramount, right? We're a public safety agency going into a whole new arena, and also people expect us to obey the law, ironically enough, right? So we enforce all kinds of laws. We better follow the laws and regulations of FAA. So I really focused on making sure that our pilots, first off, every Chula Vista pilot is 107 certified. Although they could have been covered under our COA, that's not good enough, right? I wanted absolute best practices. I know it might be a surprise to the audience, but cops break things, cops crash things. So I know that there's going to be some issues with drones up in the air, right? So we probably hung up a few in trees. I'm not going to officially say that or not, but it's happened. And so it's an area that training is absolutely critical. And training, it's a perishable skill. That's the other thing. Police are really have a lot of areas that we call perishable skills, and drone piloting is a perishable skill. So not only did we do 107, we've sent our lead managers and supervisors to a California Peace Officers and Standards Training. They call those post class on best practices in public safety drones and piloting. So they emphasize piloting skills. And we also train our pilots. They have 10 hours a month in just a training day, right, to keep their skills up. So, one of the things that I always tell, because I've done, many dozens of presentations to law enforcement, and I always say, drones are absolutely a cost-effective way to have air support. Especially when compared to manned aviation, but that doesn't mean it's cheap, right? You cannot build a drone program that is safe and effective and sustainable on a shoestring budget. You have to invest in training, you have to invest in your personnel, make them professional. And that's one of the reasons that when I left, I went to a company where I can communicate with these agencies that are interested. I just got back from Georgia and also Louisville, Kentucky, met with almost 10 different agencies and saw the whole gamut of levels of engagement and professionalism. Every law enforcement agency out there recognizes the value of drones. It might be surprising to the audience, but there are 18,000, that number is right, 18,000 law enforcement agencies in the country, state, territorial, local, and tribal. That's a tremendous number. We're everywhere from 5 cops. Some of those might be like one chief is the agency, and there's 26,000 fire departments, right? So if you think about the number of agencies that are out there that are going to want drones, the number of potential customers that need training, they need professional services to help manage the accounts. They need support from vendors. It's really a massive market. And that's not even counting the federal side, and that's not really counting the disaster response side. So the market is absolutely massive, and the need to have professional services from the ground up so that they build the right foundation so they can scale it to their needs without the having terrible incidents. And one of the reasons I built our program the way I did is I actually surveyed the lay of the land before we ever bought our first drone and saw agencies that were doing it wrong. Literally just buying drones, outfitting vans to be drone team to send their drone teams out there without telling the public, without having public vetting of what their policy is. I don't know what their training was, but it just wasn't the way that I envisioned building. And literally, it is an aviation program, right? And of those 18,000 agencies that are out there, only about 200 or so, to my knowledge, have manned aviation experience, right? They have manned helicopters. That means 17,800 agencies have no clue what they're getting into unless we educate them about that. And that's why forums such as this are really critical, as well as, like I said, partnerships and outsourcing expertise. There's no way at Chula Vista PD we could have done what we did without relying on the professionals in the aviation industry, at the FAA, in the drone industry, to share their experience and subcontract out areas that frankly we could never really master that area. Just as they could never come in and master policing, we can't master all aspects of a drone program. And when you hit that wall, keep your primary line of business, keep those professionals at their highest level work, and outsource to other professionals to keep your program at the highest, safest level.
Thanks, Juan. So moving on to the next topic, that's passion to profession. I think I'll ask Miriam this question. So what's your advice for folks who want to go from recreational to Part 107? And you're on mute still.
Darn it, my hold the space bar thing is not working for me right now. No, I think that when people want to go from recreational to professional, it's training. Because even though you might have some experience flying, to go really to the professional, you have to kind of change your thinking. So you're not doing the fun fly-ins and things like that. You are still doing those on the side, of course, and you might have great skills and great accuracy and everything, but it's kind of elevating your game to the okay, I'm a pilot now, I'm a professional pilot. If I'm working for a company, I am now a liability on their balance sheet. They have very specific risk protocols. I need to up my game here. So I think it's training all the way.
Thanks. Yeah, and that's very true. Training is one of the important, especially moving from recreational to Part 107. If we move to the next one, that is starter program, and this I'll push it to both Ben and Vern. So Ben, let me start this with you. What is one of the reasons for a drone program to fail? And this is your advice for transportation, commercial side, and similarly, I'll ask Vern on the public safety side.
I'm thinking about it here.
You want me to push it to Vern first and come back to you?
Sure.
Okay, Vern.
Okay, wait. Just repeat the question.
What is the just one of the reasons why a drone program can fail? And this is for public safety and advice.
Yeah, so on the public safety side, 100% is community engagement and transparency. And like I started out with, is policing is an even higher level of concern with some members of the public. With policing, you have to realize and respect civil rights and privacy, especially, right? So policing can be seen as the heavy-handed part of government, right? Because we enforce laws, and people legitimately wonder when they see a police drone in the air, what are they doing with it? Who's watching over the police and making sure that we're not using it for nefarious purposes? When we would do community forums, people would ask us, What happens if you look at my backyard and you see a marijuana plant? What happens if you see a crime in progress? What do you do with the footage? And so for police agencies, they really need to understand the political ramifications and the appearances, and it's very specific to each community. And so I never pretend. In Chula Vista, we were really blessed because we have a long history of community-oriented policing, a great relationship with our community, a very diverse population, educated, open to new ideas and technology. Whereas some places like perhaps, San Francisco or Seattle, there's some different political dynamics in place that are not as trusting of the police and want to have more limits and controls on policing. And drones, frankly, are not an area that the police can even really get into at this point until we do a better job of telling the story of drones for good and the benefits and the checks and balances that can be put in place to ensure privacy and civil rights are protected. And think about the civil unrest and the protests that have gone on. At Chula Vista, one of the things, and I was the captain still with some protests within our city before I retired, and we had the opportunity to use drones in some of those cases. And we made the decision, we're not going to use a drone on this because we can effectively use other tools to have a safe outcome. But on certain protests, we had one when they started in a park. We did not use the drone whatsoever to watch it. But as soon as those folks decided to march in the street and take over intersections, we didn't have the resources to protect them as well from the public and from traffic hazards. It became a public safety threat. We made the operational decision that it was ethical for us to use the drone to protect public safety, to protect the public from the aspect of a protest, but also the protesters. When they shut down the intersection, they really made a lot of people mad, and that gave us better situational awareness. And no agency wants to have what happened in Charlottesville between protesters and counter protesters because those can be really volatile situations. We use the drone for situational awareness, live feed to our officers and decision makers, and that lasted literally about an hour of keeping drones up in the air, feeding the live video. And as soon as they left the streets and they returned to the park of origin and protested there for a little bit more, as soon as they hit that park, we took the drone back off because they weren't in potential danger anymore. So communicating that to the public that we're going to use drones ethically, putting it in policy. We put it in policy. We do not use drones for surveillance. We don't do random patrol. The drone is not going to be misused. We treat the video as evidence, so it's not going to be used for purposes that it shouldn't be, and it's deleted on certain retention schedules according to what kind of incident it is. So when you put those things in place and you tell that story, the public understands and builds that transparency. And then finally, just noting on transparency, we stood up a website before we ever started launching drones, showing our policy, giving an email address that folks could email any of our team members and ask about our program, because I like to say nothing about a police drone program should be secret, except protecting the video. Everything should be transparent because you want to tell your story. And we really received a ton of good feedback, and really that foundation of public transparency, telling your story, showing the story of drones for good in public safety, it makes for a long-term sustainable program and community acceptance.
Thanks, Juan. Yeah, very good information for public safety agencies. Ben, coming back to you on this.
All right, I got it. I'm ready to order. I'm just kidding. So it's very exciting. It's very easy to get very excited about drones, and I would just say be careful when you're starting a program to not overpromise and underdeliver, because it can, especially in a large organization with like NCDOT, you just don't want to have that reputation, if you will, because it's what's the saying? If you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail, and that definitely applies to drones. So definitely be willing to say like this isn't a good application, or starting with the very simple applications to begin with, instead of trying to go straight into LiDAR or something. Keep it simple and try not to overpromise, because I think that's easy to do and can really impede progress for you.
True. No, that's good information. And As we move on, one of the last days of the Drone Safety Awareness Week is in the classroom, and this is for David. David, how should industry work with educational institutes like schools, universities, community colleges to help move the drone industry forward?
Well, the key for us, I'm not muted, right? Okay. The key for us is it's always my successful programs, whether they're in drones, manufacturing, or whatever they are, is about relationships. Because I always tell people, my customer is the student and the industries that they serve. So we have to find out what industry wants. And industry, if they expect to get a quality product given to them, they've got to get involved. You understand? I mean, I can't guess at what you want. So one of the things that we're doing, as you know, is, like I said, we're putting together this advisory board. And notice we didn't do it the first year. I mean, we didn't know enough to ask the right questions. We didn't know enough to get the right players involved. If the schools have to find who are using drones in your community, okay? Who are your employers? How are they being used? And then how can we get our schools to make their programs align to that? So, example, if you got a company that's using, or a lot of times we know that a lot of these are small companies, right? They're small independent people who are building their own businesses, who do specialized niches, whether it's in agriculture or construction or whatever. How are they being used? And then what type of equipment are they using? And then is there maybe that they could donate some equipment to the high schools, or maybe they could use some opportunities for field experiences, where they can come and watch them do this stuff, or even internship programs for those who have their 107 certifications. I mean, these are how the communities can get involved. The schools have to do the research first, because a lot of these people don't know what we're doing. I mean, one of my areas is public safety. I still have people saying, oh, you have a firefighter program in your school system? I didn't know that. You have EMT programs? I didn't know that. And these are people that should be involved. So the recommendation would be that to get these programs, first of all, the schools themselves need to be reaching out to the community to find out who is currently doing. It's easier for them to find that out, because those people that are in business in that area are trying to sell their services, drone services, right? Or or reach out to the different people that are, find out if there's any drones. My point is, there's a partnership that has to be developed. You have to have the schools have to reach out to industry, and then industry has to be willing to help. Only short-sighted industry people aren't willing to help school systems. You understand that? Because the schools are going to provide them opportunities for them to expand their business by having quality employees. Employees are your number one resource. We all know that. If you don't have employees who can do the job, then your business is going to falter. So to help them be successful, they need to get involved with the school system. But it's a partnership. How do we get out there and get involved? Having community involvement by working with the local municipalities, working with the community, with county governments, state governments, working with professional organizations who have industry people. Say, you guys are reaching out to people here that may not even thought about being involved in the schools. And now through hearing this event, thinking, you know what? I wonder if my school's doing drones. I was just thinking about the Currituck emergency management guy. I was going to try to jump in and say, you know what? We have public safety programs at Currituck County High School right now. That would be a great avenue. Public safety and drones are tied. I'm telling you what, public safety and drones are tied hand to hand. And we need to have more of our public safety programs integrating drones into the public safety programs in the high schools, because they're going to be able to go out there to the schools, to the public safety programs, and lead to jobs and opportunities in that field. So, it's a partnership, and we need to do a better job at communicating both ways.
So one thing that we want to echo on as far as our AUVSI North Carolina chapter is going along with what David's talking about are two programs that we have through our chapter. One is a student ambassador program, and why we're telling you guys this is so you can advocate for us. For the student ambassador program, to let those people know in the high schools or that student that may have a bright future in unmanned aviation, turn them on to us. If nothing else, we can get their fees prorated. But again, we want them to be a part of this. We want to get them in line with you guys. We want them to be able to shadow, to go around and experience the different possibilities here in North Carolina that they have. The other program that we have is the Donate a Drone program. It's not for public safety. This is for educational institutions. So if you have or know of groups that would say, hey, we've got an old drone, we'd like to donate it to somebody, please let our chapter know. We will come up and work with David. We'll work with the high schools that we are very familiar with. We will make sure that these drones get in the right hands. We'll do a press release. We'll try to get you guys, not that you would want publicity, but we want to get it mentioned that you donated a drone to the program. So, those are two programs where we're just trying to reach out and do something different, trying to help the youth. So.
And Riley mentioned about the Student Ambassador Program. One thing everyone should be aware about is if you're an institute, an organization, university, community college, you can become an AUVSI member, and when you become a member, all your students are automatically free members. They can register. So if, for example, since North Carolina State University is an AUVSI member, the students get free membership. And that is the benefit of being a part of an organization, because they will get the right information at the ground level. And that is what the Student Ambassador Program is. These webinars, workshops, they can, it's all on YouTube, which they can later on create smaller workshops within their university, community college, and school, and play those videos. Because all the information that we are trying to provide is free. And we want you to learn from it, because all the experts that we bring on board have been successful in what they do, and you want to take the advice. And when people say there's so much information online, I agree, and that is why we want to streamline it, and that is where also Beyond Unmanned comes into factors. That again, the experts are just going to be putting their voice out. It's free for you to go and watch. If you missed the Drone Safety Awareness Week information sessions from Bill, Riley, Vern, and we also had Brian Leventhal. And tomorrow we have one of the special segments, that is Why You Fly, with Jennifer Birdsong. And that's what it is. It's basically, we want experts to talk about this, and these initiatives are only possible if we work together. The other thing, as we are wrapping up the thing, I'm excited to tell you about next month. We have we are doing our session early. It's going to be December 11th. It's going to be a Christmas special with the Parrot family. That is Parrot, SenseFly, and Pixpody. We're going to bring Troy. I think we got the names switched. We got FX, Troy, and Christopher Cressy, who are going to be there. It's a 3-hour session. They will be talking about their latest products, their technology. We'll play some videos on some of their operation. And then we'll try and see if they can provide some free gifts to people during this call. So I'm trying to work this all out with the team, and hopefully they agree to provide some Christmas gifts. Mark your calendars. We'll be sending an invite soon. It's December 11th from 3 to 6 p.m. And if you've been following SenseFly, Parrot, and Pixpody, you'll know the amazing technology they bring in. Again, we want to thank Parrot and Pixpody for stepping up and being part of the Donate a Drone program. As we also wrap up, being a Friday and now the weekend coming, I just have something to talk to you all about, which is not related to drones, but about us as humans. It's important, and the story is basically about just 2 days back, one of my friends lost his father because of COVID. And, we think COVID, a lot of us are taking COVID very seriously, but at the same time, there are, it's not always us who have to be careful. It's also the people around us that we have to ensure is safe. I just feel like, we have our loved ones, our parents, kids, wives, girlfriends, everyone who are around. Just take a time to spend time with them. You don't know who you might lose. Because of COVID, it's been pretty bad for many countries. And why I mentioned this is just 2 weeks back, I saw my friend's father, and we had talked, and now he's no more. So it's a tough life for us living indoors and being bottled in, and wearing masks all the time, hand sanitizers. But it is important. We need to fight this. We need to get out of this safe. These chat lines, these groups, these events are helping us talk. So if you have anything to talk about, we are always here to reach out. But be safe. Have your family also ensure safety. It's not just drone safety; it's a safety overall. So I just thought, we value friendship, we value our relationships and everything, and it's important to spend time. So with that, I'm those who have to leave, we're not holding you back, but those who would love to talk, we are here. I just got a message. I'm a JS student at King Abdul Aziz University, Saudi Arabia. I'm happy to join you in these meetings. I learned a lot from your experience about drones. Thank you all. Thank you, Haya. This is the thing. It's AUVSI North Carolina, but we have international reach. That's only because we want to connect with you and wherever you are, and we want to help your state, your country with drone initiatives. But I would like to open it up to anyone who wants to answer this question: why do you fly, and why do you like to fly? And
before you answer that question, let me. It is 6 o'clock, and I know some of our presenters are getting off. Before people start answering that question, thank you so much to our presenters and panelists. Thank you so much for being a part of this. We couldn't do it without you, so thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. I'm going to hop off.
Yes, go on, take care. And anyone who wants to hop off. We are here till you leave. But if anyone, I would like anyone to start out and answer why they like to fly or why they fly drones. It'll be nice to hear about it. Anyone wants to volunteer and talk about it? Anyone? Wayne, you've been silent all throughout. Okay, Wayne. Okay, Wayne is he's unmuted.
I think for me is getting out flying is that one, teaching others how to fly and see the excitement on their face of being able to see how easy it is, especially with GPS today, and learning a new skill. I think that's great. And for me personally, when I'm out flying, I forget about everything else, car payments, house payments, things I got to do on my list. I'm just trying to keep the drone out of a tree or off power lines. So for me, it's really relaxing to be able to get out and fly. Thanks for asking.
Thanks, Wayne. Jay, you have raised your hands.
Yeah, I think I might have mentioned this before, but 20 years of flying recreationally, and then all of a sudden 107 came out, and I love aviation. Just enjoy it. And I never got to be a pilot, a real, a man pilot. So this was my opportunity to really jump into this business, and I did, and I love it, and I'm excited about it. I'm excited to share with it. I'm here with you. I want to share as much as I can with everybody that I can talk to about this, and just the enthusiasm and the education that I have learned throughout the years. I love sharing. And yes, I agree, Wayne, I love flying. So it's just a great thing to do.
And in contrary to what Jay mentioned, my thing is I am a manned aviator. I got into drones because it really, the main reason was because it paid my master's program fees. I was a student in doing my master's in NC State University, and I got involved in the Institute of Transportation Research and Education program. That's the NGAT program, and I thought, okay, they are paying my fees, so I get free masters, and flying drones. How much am I going to fly? I didn't even think about it, but the story changed within a week. I love what I do, and I moved from manned aviation to unmanned. But it's
so. Darshan, I've got a question directly to you then. Okay?
Yes, sir.
There, with all the knowledge, especially the knowledge tests that I had to take and recurrent. Now I'm going to my second recurrent in April, you know, the instructors that I'm with say, boy, you can go for your manned aviation at this point. And because the knowledge test that I've learned is a lot of that on the manned aviation test. I just would like some feedback on that because there's encouragement there.
Absolutely. If you know, if folks who you have heard a lot of stories like mine who have moved from manned to unmanned. There's no surprise people moving from unmanned to manned. When you start learning Part 107, when you finish your Part 107, and you feel you have a strong grasp on the knowledge and the information, and you also have a thirst for more knowledge, then getting your sport pilot license, your private pilot license is a great. You may not you know, look into taking as a career option, or maybe you want to take it as a career option because nowadays some of the companies that are looking at the drone delivery side or urban air mobility is requiring Part 107 and private pilot or commercial pilot license. So, you know, there could be an opportunity for you to move from unmanned to manned, and it's all about education. End of the day, you know, you have to think about it is that every flight you do, no matter manned or unmanned, just imagine you are in that aircraft and you want to be back, bring it back home safely. So that really changes the whole perspective. I have talked to people who, you know, if they do something wrong and they immediately tell me like, yeah, thank God I was not in the aircraft. I said that situation shouldn't come, that you feel that you shouldn't have been in the aircraft. Every flight is a new flight, but every flight should also be taken with utmost safety and concern. So if you are interested in getting to manned side, you're already close to it by starting out with the ground class. And your Part 107, I would say, covers about 50 to 60%. It does not get into the system side of it, but the remaining is more technical, weight and balance, and you have you know, performance, a lot of other stuff. But it's again your specific to your path forward. You can be a sport pilot license, student pilot, you know, and you don't have to take your private pilot license. So manned aviation has given you a lot of options. If you look at gliders, you know, you could get into gliding, you could get into various opportunities. So it's not very, it's not surprising if unmanned aviators become future pilots someday.
Thank you.
Hey, Darshan.
Yeah, Paul.
It's been a minute since I took any manned written exam, but you need a sign off, right?
Yes.
To take the written exam.
Absolutely. And the requirement is a ground class is one requirement, but you have to take a sign off from your instructor because most of the flight schools do have that written testing center within the school, or they tell you to go somewhere.
And this is where drones could head in the future for the folks that are familiar with the manned side is you can't just take the test. You got to get the education, get the sign off to take the test, then go through the hands-on.
And it's not difficult. It's not difficult if states start taking the initiative and driving it towards the federal side. The problem right now is we are leaving everything to the federal and to FAA and say that you figure this out. That's the wrong way of approaching this. You cannot point your finger to FAA and say that you figure this out. You have to bring solutions, bring them the you know, waste, how they can improve the you know, Part 107. If a state decides that if a state can have a permit to operate drones, a state can also initiate that all drone pilots in North Carolina would have to, especially government, can have to go through some form of training. And then what happens, it opens up training centers. It opens up institutes like universities and community colleges, which could become your training centers. It could open up your flight schools that are doing manned aviation training to open up a Part 107 training center. So there is opportunities. It's already established on the manned side, just that we are leaving it to, on FAA to figure it out and give us the solution. But I think, you know, that like AUVSI Trusted Operator Program, it did not drive as much as it should have driven forward because people started seeing the dollar value to it and saying, hey, you know, this, why am I paying for this? You cannot expect to get free training, free license, and then get paid for it with your company also, then you should be providing services also for free. If you want to get paid for your services, then you have to pay for your training, you have to pay for your license. And that is where a lot of companies, the idea, their thinking surprises me, is that they don't want to spend money on training, but they want to get compensated for it. Now, if you're not investing, you're not going to get return. And if you do not invest, do not expect return in the future. So that is where I think changes have to be made. I know that the UAST, that's the Unmanned Safety Team, is working towards it. The Unmanned Safety Team, for those who don't know, can search UAST online, and they'll see it's a group of FAA and industry working together to create safety standards. There are a couple of companies, and FAA, Jay Markle is on board, and the chair of that is from Amazon. Suddenly forgetting the name, but that's the organization that's helping create standards. They're also the ones who were driving the Drone Safety Awareness Week. They created this week plan and everything. So we have all these resources, just that we have to approach it not with a question, but with a solution, and then see how FAA works along. And that's why, one of the panelists, let me see who it was, Wes mentioned building a relationship with FAA. The IPP helped them build a relation. It took 3 years to build a relation with FAA. So that is a big achievement, because you may feel like, companies may feel like, what's the big deal about spending 3 years to build a relation with FAA? Oh, I've been part of the IPP, and I've realized they are working to make you successful. And that relation is only built on trust.
Darshan, I couldn't agree with you more. That last thing you just said about having a rapport with the FAA, which I do up here, I'm very lucky, to even the inspector who only shows up when something goes wrong. And you don't want him on your territory if you're doing something wrong. But I call him. If I got a question, I'll call him and I'll say, William, can I do this? I'm not sure. And the guy really knows. There's people, and they love when you call, because they enjoy they enjoy telling this to people who are interested and really want to do it right. They really become your friend, and it's amazing. An acquaintance, a friendly acquaintance, I should say. It's amazing how much trust you can build with people in the FAA, because they only want you to do it right.
And so as we wrap up, I just want to say one thing which FAA mentioned in the last session was that FAA sees all of us as aviators. No matter you're a drone pilot or a manned aircraft pilot, we are all aviators. So it's our responsibility to act like aviators. So that's where I would like to, wrap up this session. Remember, we are meeting again December 11th for a Christmas special, 3 hours. I'm going to try and see if we have Santa Claus to bring some gifts. Also, this time, and that our Santa Claus will be Parrot, Sensefly, and Pixpody. So let's hope we can bring some free gifts on, and some discounted things, and just enjoy and have a. I think that's pretty much it. Anyone has any questions or anything that they want to add before we end the session?
I just sent you an email about something that happened a few weeks ago. So
Yes,
I didn't
sir.
want to discuss it here. Just check your email, that's all.
Sure, sir.
All right, thank you.
All right, everyone. Have a good. Did we get a new message? Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Yes, happy Thanksgiving. Hug your loved ones and enjoy this month. The year is already coming to end, and with the new year, we're going to see a COVID-free year. I hope. So let's all hope that, and take care. And Paul, congratulations for when is the due date?
May 4th.
Yeah, so May 4th, everyone. Paul is giving a party. There's a baby along the way.
Yes, little healthy baby boy.
Congratulations. Take
Thank
care,
you,
everyone.
thank you.
Happy
Star Wars
Thanksgiving.
Day, so you're gonna have to name the baby Luke or Leia.
I gotta go with Luke. Go with Luke. His
Take
two
care,
his two nephews are out. We'll go with Luke. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Take care, everybody. Be well.
Good seeing everyone. Take care.